I was like, why am I here? Why am I sick?
That's a parent's worst nightmare.
She was 42 pounds.
We're talking just a little tiny bony kid where we were just devastated.
Where are our lives going?
I had to come up with something. I had to find something to save her.
What would you do if doctors told you that your young daughter had an extreme form of brain cancer with only a few weeks left to live? For Texas couple Ben and Julie Nunez, the news hit hard, but they were desperate to do anything to save their 8-year-old Josie. So when conventional medicine had run out of answers and options, the Nunezes looked elsewhere for a cure to save their little girl.
I thought I was like having strep or something. Or like the flu, or I didn't really know. Until my mom and dad told me.
That's a very difficult thing to have to tell your child.
I've always heard about this kind of stuff, and when it happened to us, it was devastating.
I was just so scared she was going to die.
I folded, it buckled me down.
But I had to hold it together for Josie.
I just didn't really believe it. Like, I was like, I have cancer?
I can't believe I'm in this nightmare. I've got to wake up somehow.
The doctors told us to go home with Josie, make her comfortable, start setting up hospice, maybe go to Disneyland, and enjoy her. We said to each other, you know what? We'll go to Disneyland, but not while she's sick. And no, we're not getting hospice. We just figured we're going to do something.
Ben and Julie Nunez met and fell in love while at college together in the early 1990s. After marrying, they settled in Dallas. In 2000, they welcomed their first child, Josie.
Such a good kid. I mean, as good as they get.
Josie was a very healthy, darling, fun girl. Our girls just had an instant friendship, even though they aren't all the same age. It was just that run and play.
Totally loved fashion and going shopping and putting their little outfits together. That's what she loved to do.
I liked Dallas. Our house was perfect. And there was lots of neat things there. Like, there was an aquarium, a zoo.
Josie was the light of her parents' lives, and 5 years later was joined by her little brother, James. When Josie was 7 years old, the Nunez family moved to Midland.
Took the big plunge, and we opened up a new business here and moved our family here and started to get settled in.
When we decided to make this move, Josie was not happy about it at all.
I didn't want to leave because I missed all my friends and my school and my teachers and stuff.
And right as we started to get settled in, probably a couple of months at the most, Josie started getting ill.
It was a good move, but her behavior started changing.
After I moved to Midland, I started feeling like sick.
She didn't want to go to school. She was tired, she couldn't get out of bed. She was complaintive about many things.
Typical flu symptoms is what she was getting, and it carried on for a while.
I was going to the doctor like pretty much maybe every week or something like that.
Took her to the doctor 20 times probably, with strep, vomiting, headaches. She was falling down.
They would say, oh, she has strep, and I'd keep throwing up and feeling weak and just feeling head heavy. I just felt really bad.
She had been getting sick for about a month at this point. After getting sick, she just went back to bed like it was a normal thing to feel that way. And Julie and I just knew something was really wrong. No one should be this sick all the time.
I kind of wondered what was going on.
Took her to these doctors in this one practice, went through several doctors, and they could not figure out what was wrong with her. They checked her for many things. I mean, none of the diagnoses were right.
Julie and I were talking just on the front porch, and she's like, Laura, I don't know. You know, Josie does not have the flu, and I don't know what to do. You know, she's just having these headaches.
And I did a lot of research on my own, too, and everything that I saw online, brain tumor popped up. But I thought, there's no way. There's absolutely no way it's a brain tumor.
My mom and dad were really worried about everything, and, well, I was just too sick to be worried.
We finally were at this practice. We got another doctor. She really went the extra mile. She contacted her colleagues around the nation, her colleagues just trying to figure out, what piece of the puzzle she was missing. She really was very diligent. And on this last visit, she decided, after I had told her Josie was experiencing these throbbing headaches now, she said, you know what, we're going to get a CAT scan.
I just felt kind of like, what are they doing to me? And then when I was all done, they saw something.
I came home one day and Dr. Hart called us. Julie had just come into the door and I was waving her in from the garage.
And he said, come here, you gotta come in here. And he put Dr. Hart on the phone and she said, are you sitting down? And I said, why?
Eight-year-old Josie Nunez was getting really sick for no apparent reason. And when a CT scan showed the disturbing answer, her doctor had to tell Ben and Julie the awful news that no parent is ever ready to hear.
Julie and I, after getting off the phone, we were just devastated.
She told me that they had found this spot and that we needed to go get an MRI right away. When we were in that emergency room at the Midland Hospital here, it was all I could do to keep myself together in front of her, and I had to keep going out into the hallway, and I was just bawling. I was just hysterical and calling my family.
The results of the MRI confirmed what the CAT scan had already shown. Josie had a tumor on her brainstem. Josie was immediately flown to Dallas to a hospital that specialized in brain cancers.
We arrive over there and they're getting Josie together. Basically, she's still sick. She's still having all the symptoms.
After many, many questions from many different doctors, they decided that we needed to wait.
They gave her the steroids for a few days so they could kind of prepare everything.
Josie's symptoms worsened, and she increasingly lost her balance. Another MRI revealed more devastating news. A tumor was now growing on the base of Josie's spine.
Now she's got a tumor the size of a large egg on her brainstem, and a tumor the size of about your pinky fingernail in her spine.
There was definitely a sense of helplessness.
I was like, why am I here? Why am I sick? And then they said, honey, you have cancer.
Trying to explain it to her, that they're going to have to go in and cut your head open. Well, will I feel it? No, you'll be asleep. Oh, okay. She didn't really understand what was going on. All the whole time inside, I'm thinking, where are our lives going?
Josie had the surgery, a 14-hour ordeal. Doctors were able to remove most of the tumor in her brain, but they were not able to safely get to the tumor at her spine. To attack that cancer, Josie would now have to undergo radiation and chemotherapy.
I was like, Daddy, does the chemotherapy hurt? And then he was like, no, it doesn't hurt.
She quickly lost weight. She quickly started losing her hair. She had hair down to her waist, and we had to cut it all off. But through the whole thing, she was just so sweet, as sweet as ever. In fact, she begged to go to radiation because they put her to sleep with the milk of amnesia. And she loved that because it was the only sleep she got, because every night she'd be vomiting all night. She was changing so rapidly, physically. By the time she completed all of the radiation and 3 rounds of chemo, she was 42 pounds.
We're talking just a little tiny bony kid.
It was very difficult. She was very proud. She wore her wigs, all different colors, lots of scarves. It became something fun for her.
After 8 months of cancer treatment, Josie was released from the hospital and the Nunez family returned home to Midland. From there, Josie traveled back and forth to Dallas for additional chemotherapy treatments.
She was wheelchair bound. Had to feed her through a gastrostomy tube in her belly.
Josie's friends totally supported everything. They came to see her in the hospital when she was getting chemo, when they could, when her blood counts were up, so she wouldn't get sick.
My friends gave me a blessing ring and put lots of cards on it.
They did a fundraiser for her. They printed out T-shirts that said, "I wear gray for Josie."
Gray is the color of brain cancer. It's the ribbon color. I was kind of thankful for that.
As part of Josie's ongoing chemotherapy treatments, doctors ordered periodic MRIs to monitor the remaining tumor.
My son James and I were at the Ronald McDonald House. Ben was with Josie because he goes to the MRIs with Josie. I remember lying on the bed going, when are they going to call? It has been way too long. And then I got the phone call. They found another tumor in the middle of her brain.
There was nothing more that doctors could do. They gave Josie 1 week to live at best and suggested that Julie and Ben set up hospice care to make Josie as comfortable as possible during her final days.
And we said, we're going to go home for now, and we're going to figure out what we're going to do.
We drove home, and that was the longest 6 hours of my life.
I remember sitting in the car. Ben was crying. I was crying, looking out this window, going, what? And I'm praying the whole time, going, what? Am I missing something? You know, I just didn't get it.
I had to come up with something. I had to find something to save her. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I didn't.
8-year-old Josie Nunez had been diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. Doctors said she only had a few days to live. But the Nunez family was headed for an unexpected date with destiny.
We were like, what are we going to do? I mean, here we are. It was just, where do you start? What do you do? And so I just was going down to the health food store, and I said, look, I just, you know, I was going to say, I just need anything you can give me. And my friend Laura called while I was in the car.
And I said, you know what, step out of your box. The first time, you were being airlifted and massive and confusion and panic and fear. I said, but this time you have a chance to step back and make a decision and look at so many opportunities that are out there.
Laura recommended that Julie call Dr. Bernardo Maielka, a naturopathic doctor specializing in alternative cancer treatments.
I first met Dr. Bernardo about 15, 16 years ago, and my husband's family had known him for many years. The relationship went way back when my father-in-law ended up having cancer and was determined to go a natural route and not have radiation and chemo and things for himself. And from then on, he was our family doctor.
And I said, well, I'm on my way to the health food store right now, and I'm hysterical, and I'm driving. I said, you need to call Ben. Can you call Ben and tell him? She goes, yeah, I'm going to call him right now.
I got the phone call. She told me to call Dr. Bernardo, gave his phone number. I called him immediately. Very gruff old man on the other end.
I've been practicing for 58 years. I specialize in stage 4 cancer patients. So I get the cases that nobody wants or they're impossible.
What struck me most about Dr. Bernardo was his passion, his soul. He was a beautiful human being.
When they come to me, they've had chemo, they've had radiation, and basically they sent them home to die. She had a brain tumor. They gave her chemo, radiation, and after that, she couldn't even walk.
Dr. Bernardo took over the case.
He wanted all the facts. What did she have in the beginning? What kind of surgeries did she have? What did the MRIs reveal? How much chemo has she had? How much radiation has she had? What does she weigh? Does she have a feeding tube? All of these things. And test her pH.
All the patients that I have throughout the world, first thing they do, wet their tongue with saliva, put the paper in for 5 seconds, compare it to the chart.
So we tested the pH, and it was very, very low. Didn't even register on the pH strips. You know, she's dying of acidosis, not cancer.
Josie's mother is now very educated. She saw a part of the system of keeping Josie alive was alkalinity. You must make the body inhospitable to the cancer cells, and simply by going on the right foods and using some substances that will help the body eat out the acid, the patient gets better.
How can I tell people that they're getting better? Because the pH goes up. Most of them are 5 or 5.5. As it goes up, lactic acid is going down, which means cancer activity is going down.
Cancer thrives in acidity, alkalinity, is the way to survive.
Dr. Bernardo laid out a treatment plan so simple that it didn't seem plausible.
I said, you gotta take care of the nutrition. You gotta give them fresh juices.
The reason? Most fruits and vegetables are alkalinizing to the body, and cancer does not like an alkaline environment. At the same time, the juicing would flood Josie's body with nutrients it desperately needed.
The body repairs itself, but you gotta give it the stuff that you need. Most doctors have no idea that nutrition has anything to do with cancer.
Never vomited any of that stuff up, which is amazing because all the other stuff that she got, the Pediasure, all these other things that were full of nutrients for her survival, she couldn't keep them down.
Josie was certainly not thrilled about this process.
You know, we had to sit down and explain to her, listen, it's either this is better than chemo. Is this better than chemo? You're sitting here in your own living room. You're watching TV, you know, is this better? And she agreed. She goes, yeah, you know, it is better. It took her a little bit to get it in her head that this is our only option. It's either this or die. That's a very difficult thing to have to tell your child.
But the thing with Josie is she had a will to live. So even though she fought her mom, Josie had such a will. And Julie and Ben did for their daughter.
After a while, I kind of got used to it, and there were more things I could eat or I could open up to.
Now, when we went into this whole thing, you know, her pH, we were testing her pH. He said, if you're feeding her something and you notice that her pH drops, take it out.
We had to, like, test my pH every morning. I couldn't drink any water.
Slowly, her pH started coming up. Of course, we didn't know in the beginning. We were, like, testing it every day going, you know, nothing's happening. And he said, that's okay. Just keep doing it. Keep doing it. I mean, her body has been sick for this long. You guys have been through so much. And all this time with the chemo and the radiation, her body has to get that out.
As the cells die off, the toxins are what kill the patient. And so the juicing not only gives nutrition, but also allows the body to become more alkaline.
After I started drinking the juices, I really started feeling better. And it was much better than that yucky chemo.
When we brought her home from the hospital, and this whole time, while she's going through radiation, she's in a wheelchair. After we started doing the juicing and this plan, slowly but surely, she started walking around, and we'd walk laps around our house. And some friends of ours gave us the Wii for her. Well, she was playing tennis, leaning on the couch, but eventually she was off the couch, physical, back and forth, walking around the block. Amazing. And then she started gaining weight.
Then, like a few months later, we went back to the hospital, and I had another MRI.
We had a very calm feeling about it. I mean, we really did. We had a lot of confidence going into it. Our doctor walked in and said that it had actually shrunk by 75%.
The doctor was like, oh, how are you doing that?
It was like a weight had been lifted. We're on the right track. We're doing it. We believe it. We totally believe in this, and we're going to continue to do it until this is gone.
On the brink of death from brain cancer, 8-year-old Josie Nunez was in need of a miracle. Her parents found it in a naturopathic doctor who prescribed treating Josie's terminal cancer with organic fruits and vegetable juices. The juicing regimen was working, and Josie was on the road to recovery.
After all that, we were really on cloud nine. We were so excited.
She's been totally tumor and cancer-free. She's in total remission. She's been doing so well.
This child was given up by conventional medicine. Nothing more they could do. She was a goner. She had brain cancer. Dr. Bernardo took over the case. They complied with his requests, with the diet, nutrition, and supplementation. The child's alive.
Josie's funny. She's got a good sense of humor. And through this, I've always said she's my hero. She kept me going. She did. She really did. She called the doctors. She said to me, she goes, these doctors, they're hideous, evil minions. They've got an evil plan. I know what their evil plan is, but they're not going to carry it out on me.
Dr. Bernardo gave my family hope and peace. You know, he said, your daughter's going to live just as long as you do this diet.
Josie has a great future ahead of her, but I think the most important thing is remembering always that keeping her pH up and doing the alkaline diets and the things are going to be a way of life for her.
First person I called was Dr. Bernardo. He got very emotional. He started crying, and I was crying. I was so happy. He was very happy, and he went on to tell me, he said, "You're the first one that's called me with great news right off the bat. You have no idea the payoff and how good that makes me feel."
To have Josie back in our lives is the greatest, most awesome gift that we could ever have been given, beyond having her given to us at birth. It's like we've been given a second chance at life. She's an awesome little inspiration to everybody. It's the best feeling a mom could ever have.
Josie Nunez's recovery is an amazing story of determination, discovery, and ultimate triumph. Today, Josie is active in the Girl Scouts, and she enjoys writing. She hopes to someday be an actor, comedian, or both. She embraces each new day, never taking her good health for granted, and she continues to be 100% cancer-free. The human body has an amazing ability to heal itself, and few stories illustrate this better than Josie's. To learn more about Josie Nunez, visit our website. I'm Jewel. Join us next time for another remarkable story of personal triumph on The Incurables.